Hello, and welcome to the OutCast, first episode ever in its existence. I'm your host, Logan, and I'm here to talk about whatever philosophies or things that I see that are pertinent to our situation today as a society or just life in general. Um, as a little introduction, I am a 20-year-old musician trying to start a career in music as a nice fusion of grunge rock and groovy, more funky vibes, and some also symphonic acoustic influences. And today I was busy doing some assignments for my college education. I have a couple of classes that I am currently enrolled in right now. Specifically, I was doing an assignment for my jazz history and appreciation class. And today I had to do a concert review specifically on the the Miles Davis Quintet, their concert in Germany on November 7th, 1967. And when I was listening to it, it inspired some interesting ideas and thoughts in my head that were very profound. And it was a result of this band's influence in experimentation and overall providing an experience of profound, deep thought and complete awe. Today I'm going to be focusing on the topic of unity. And in my opinion, unity is kind of what we need to focus on right now as a society. Right now, as I kind of see it, we have a lot of issues in our society, and our society is very segregated. And with the pandemic, we're kind of faced with an issue of we need to come together and work as one singular force to fight this universal issue of a disease. And as I was listening to this concert today, it was very chaotic, yet harmonically beautiful. The way in which they played the music and jammed out these very intricate and experimental rhythms provided a environment and mood that caused me to contemplate these subjects. And I think that's honestly the real job of artists and musicians in this society, is to create a piece of art that provides an experience, an environment to stimulate profound thought and hopefully progress the society forward. So on the subject of unity and how we can progress forward as a society, I was kind of thinking about how we as a society are very segregated, and in our attempt to be individuals and carve our own paths, we separate ourselves more by putting ourselves in these boxes with these crazy abstract labels. And I used to be a person who was interested in kind of being with these abstract ideas and labels. I wanted to stand out, but I wanted people to understand me. So I thought communicating in these pejorative and fictitious languages might help people understand me a little bit more. However, in the general scheme of society, with the older generations and people who have existed on this earth a little longer than I have, they don't understand these newer languages. And I see people really forcing this upon them, which causes them to resent this truly positive effort of progressing the society. So, from then, I kind of ditched that thought of trying to be in the new language and with the right way of thinking and talking about things within this society for identity. Now, that doesn't mean I'm against using people's preferred pronouns, and this also doesn't mean I'm against LGBTQ rights in any sense. I actually am a part of that LGBTQ alphabet. Excuse me. I fulfill the B side of the spectrum of that alphabet. And I found that no matter how hard you work and how hard you try to help people understand your identity of who you are as a human being, you can never fully spell it out in terms that will truly make sense to these people. So, with that in mind, I decided to not really focus on trying to explain myself to people. I was just being me and living my life, not really with the worry of explaining my sexuality or who I am as a person to people. I just did what I did and talked about it to people. If people asked, "Oh, what are you interested in?" I would answer, I love playing music, investigating philosophy and art, science, specifically physics, and how it pertains to inspiring philosophy and how philosophy might inspire physics itself and art, because it truly is a cyclical thing. If someone asked me, "Oh, what are you attracted to?" I would explain, well, I'm attracted to healthy people who are very relaxed in nature and I generally find attractive. And in those terms, when you speak in general terms, people can understand it. They go, "Oh, that's cool. Okay, cool." No further explanation needed. They understand you. And when that happened, I realized, maybe there's something to generality and difference. right now it seems as a society we're making a crazy effort to try to explain ourselves to each other and understand each other through terms that might be relatable. And the truth is about these experiences is that to the people who are experiencing the abnormal, or, I mean, for lack of a better word, abnormal, or experiences that are different from the majority of society, are not relatable at all to the people who don't experience these things. And so, if you speak in more general terms, keeping the detail out of things like, say, for example, you're attracted to the same sex, and people ask you, oh, how's your romantic life going? And be like, say it's going, or however it is. But keep the genderized details out of it, and you'll be okay. You'll have a better experience than trying to explain, oh, well, my gay dating life is not doing so well. I'm not getting all the guys I want. I really just, you know, want to get some D. And because a lot of people want to understand that. And so, coming back to generality, if we can acknowledge each other for our differences and acknowledge that we're not going to be able to truly understand each other for every single detail about our being, we can work together a lot more efficiently as a society. If I were to take the hot button subjects out of the picture and explain it in terms that are a little bit more comfortable for people, I would probably first go to music, because that's the first true language that I think all humans understand. Because there's no true context needed for music in its pure form, and you can experience music from whatever time period in whatever time period you are, and be able to understand the meaning and feel something and get an experience from these pieces of music. And music is a product of multiple individuals coming together and working for this overarching goal of creating a sonic experience for an observer. Each instrument in itself is very different from the other, and they all have a very specific purpose. For example, in a traditional jazz band, in the situation of Miles Davis and his quintet in Germany, 1967, that I was listening to earlier, there were 5 people that made up the band, and their names were Miles Davis and some other people that I can't quite remember right now, unfortunately. But these 5 people play 5 distinct instruments. Miles Davis was on the trumpet. Tony Williams was on the drums. And then there was a bass player, a piano player named Herbie Hancock, very famous piano player, very great piano player, and a saxophone player. And they all created this astonishing arrangement of songs to perform for these people, and they all benefited from it. The musicians benefited from performing by fully expressing themselves and seeing the connection that they had to the audience. The audience benefited from experiencing this amazing, chaotic, yet groovy and truly shocking concert that possibly could change their lives forever. That experience will leave a lasting memory that will live on with those people until they die, and if you believe in an afterlife, maybe even after, when they pass on to the next realm. Whatever that may be. But the key point in this whole idea is that individuals with their different attributes and their different skills come together to benefit anybody and everybody who listens and engages in this activity. Expanding that idea out further to a general concept of physics, because I am currently studying physics in college, and frankly, it helps me memorize these concepts, but also there's a lot of knowledge and progressive ideas to be gained from these ideas, I believe. Now, in physics, in a general concept, every object of mass that is in a plane of space, in this three-dimensional space, has influence on each other. So two objects, two separate points in space that have mass, if we can reduce it down to the simplest form, two particles in space, will exert a force on each other that is attractive. And that is called gravity. In space, gravity is a very relied on force in physics to determine many conclusions. And if you want to apply the concept of unity to gravitational force, gravitational forces cause the universe to work the way it does and to move how it moves, to give the opportunity for planets to form, stars to form, and solar systems to form together, all exerting forces on each other to keep themselves in motion around a central point, which is a star that is very massive, or it could be another object of mass that is very big. we need different objects of various masses for this to happen and for everything to work together to provide the existence that we have today. And for unified motion to continue happening, you need each and every different object to be itself and be different. Because if any other object in our solar system, for example, were any more massive, the motion of our solar system would be thrown off, and there's no guarantee that our solar system would continue to exist as it does. Now, expanding that idea out further to society and life in general, I think humans need to, instead of trying to relate to such a fundamental level and trying to understand everybody down to what really makes them tick and how their brain works and how their motivations work, we talk in more general terms of experiences that we all can understand, and acknowledge the fact that there are things that we all may experience that will be different from another group of people, and that experience may be so different and odd, in fact, that other people can't even imagine what that may be like. But if we can finally acknowledge each other for our differences and really come out with the truth and say we may not understand, but we acknowledge that this is an experience, then we can probably get to solving these issues that we're faced with today and become one unified force instead of separate fighting factions arguing whether or not the other side is correct or who's going to commit the next atrocity, who's responsible for the negativity we find in our society today. All of these are almost unanswerable questions. Unless there is ample evidence to suggest that somebody is responsible for an atrocity to happen, or a specific group of people with a political ideology are responsible for some sort of crime or dark force in this world. But it's very hard to prove those, because no matter what, humans are fallible, and there's always the chance that someone will be lying and giving false information. So we can never rely on personal testimonies, and many times the hard evidence is destroyed and can't be used to prove whether or not these things happened as a result of these people acting in a certain way. So, if we can look at the problems that we have faced today and take them at face value for what they are and evaluate the externalities that could be causing these problems, we might be able to actually solve these issues. And even if we can solve maybe one or two major issues facing our society today, I think I would be content with that. Because as it stands, if you look back in history, we've made progress. You know, people are not getting murdered at the same intense rate they were. Racism is down, but still has its effects. War is not as common right now. However, there is looming threat of that happening, of course, as there always is. But I think if we can truly solve these issues of war, racism, imperialism, supremacy, greed, then that's when progress truly happens. Because we're seeing today that our efforts are in the right place, but they're not producing the results we need. So we need to find out a different method of approach to solve these issues instead of looking back to the past and repeating the same old plans and trying to beat a dead horse, in my opinion. And we should strictly stick to reality as well, and not try to go into these abstract things. You know, I am a firm subscriber of the idea of KISS, or Occam's razor. Keep it simple, stupid is the acronym for KISS, and generally the concept of Occam's razor is the simplest solution often is the correct solution and will serve you the best results. This concept is taken throughout physics and engineering very, very seriously and applied a lot. The best example I could adapt is in the International Space Station. There's a specific design for a window to be put into one of the modules to observe Earth and take pictures. And this window is held in place by these very small rubber gaskets that line the border between the pressurized capsule and the vacuum of space. Now, that might seem scary at how simple and elementary that design is. However, we find through tests and how long the International Space Station has been able to stay in space that solution and design has proved very strong and works. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that we try to come up with these crazy, complex solutions, and we talk in this sophisticated language that nobody understands to try to quote unquote progress society, and we see that our politicians who influence these decisions to be made actually don't progress our society very much in a general sense. So what can we do? How can we fix it? That's a question I've been ruminating on a lot throughout my life. Because all I've seen is the state of things get worse and worse and deteriorate more and more. And as I get older, I wonder if there is anything I can do to fix it. Personally. I don't know if there is much that we can do. But the little that we can do could possibly have a very big, drastic effect, depending on what it is that you do. And for me personally, I see that individuals have the greatest effect if they have a talent that not a lot of people possess, that results in them having a lot of power in society, whether it be through financial means or social means. Now, socially, I see people who have power with great skill. And their skills, such as music, creating music, drawing, painting, sculpture, art, are highly regarded if you are very individual and different and progress the art itself very far with just your work throughout your lifetime. Financially, you have a lot of power if you are good at business, and this business could be through creation of a product that people need or a service that people need. I think, for me personally, I have the greatest shot of having a great effect on society through art or music. That's the one thing that I am proficient enough at that I can rely on to communicate philosophies that might change very small things. And small changes over time can equal great changes in big ones. So, anyways. Unity is the key to solving these issues. And my question to you listening, if anyone is listening, do you have a view of how maybe we can start changing things? What specific issue do you think we need to focus on first? And through which medium do you think we have the greatest opportunity to affect change? I think this conversation is desperately needed, and if anyone participates, that would be amazing, and I could be educated through peaceful discourse and conversation, and then I think some progress would actually be able to ensue. That would be great. So, in conclusion, thank you very much for listening to this display of ideas, or whatever the heck you want to call it. A podcast, a crapshoot, shit show. I don't know. If you enjoyed this little thing, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned for more to come soon. I don't really know how often I'll be posting these things, but I'll just be posting them as I gain inspiration and have ideas to inspire another podcast. And if you want to check out my music and stay tuned on things with that, you can get updated at my Instagram, posted in the description, and my Soundcloud at The Little Hollow Experience. I'll also post the link in the description for that page, so you guys can go ahead and check it out. And any other social medias that you would like to follow me on will also be posted down there. This was the OutCast, episode number 1. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Make sure to look out for yourself. Stay safe, stay positive, and hang in there.